This has been one of the most passionately requested bands on the channel by far, and I'm excited to hear No Means No for the first time today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. This band has been so hyped up on the channel lately, I'm excited to get to it, specifically the track Rags and Bones, which is from the album you guys keep recommending, Wrong, which is the band's fourth studio album released in 1989. The Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal called it the band's best album, giving it a 10 out of 10, stating, "Wrong was the mightiest merger between the hateful aggression of punk and the discipline of heavy metal." So without further ado, let's get right into it. Rags and Bones. I don't know if it's Rag and Bones or Rags and Bones. It says something different on the CD than it does on Spotify. So whatever that track is called, here we go. Groovy. G blues. Blues scale from a mile away, but it's got a great tone. I love how just shrill that is.
My father was married to my mother. I am married to a cigarette butt lying in the gutter. I am married to a cigarette butt lying in the gutter. Oh, that's too bad. Rags and bones, are we finally alone? Rags and bones, are we finally alone?
Interesting. So for a second, I thought this was just a bass intro, and I've done a little reading here on the Wikipedia page, but it's like Rob Wright, the bass player, is kind of just completely blurring the lines between what's guitar and what's bass. You guys have recommended the Wright brothers a lot because it's really two guys kind of masterminding this whole thing. And reading the album credits, it actually says none of your business on who played more guitar, bass, and drums, but it really just credits the Wright brothers for guitar, bass, vocals, and drums. So I don't really know if this is a two-piece, and if they performed live, I don't know if they had other musicians, but I can kind of hear that just singularity where bass and guitar are just kind of doing the same thing. That's the bass, it's louder, but I hear this guitar track underneath it. Interesting arrangements, kind of bluesy and feel good, then it kind of opens up into this kind of A. So I'm going to assume the track is in A or G somewhere in there, but really interesting layering for how simple it is so far.
White man, you just starting to get the blues. Yeah, the blues. I said, white man, you just starting to get the blues.
The blues.
The blues.
The blues? Woohoo! Okay, you know, that bass riff has got a cool phrasing. It's just a G blues scale, but I'm kind of owned in on what the drum part is doing. It's changing the beat. It's kind of almost displacing the beat. And I think that's really creative when you can just start out a song with a riff, a bass riff, bass intro, and that really sticks in your head. But the drums are kind of changing where the accents are, so that bass riff is becoming another ostinato, which I say this a lot, just a repeating musical phrase that starts out in the forefront and slowly goes to the background as something else contrasts it in the composition. And the drums are kind of grab me there because it's kind of like, where's the one? Interesting.
Say it!
Opens up here.
Rags and bones, are we finally alone? Rags and bones, are we finally alone?
Back to that intro riff. Listen to the drums, just changing it up. Oh, that's kind of of like Edgar Winter Groupish to me. Just kind of breaks down. You have this really meaty bass riff, and everything kind of sits on top of it. Thinking like Frankenstein or something. I'm not saying they're completely similar stylistically, but just kind of the way all the parts are working together. I like that little transition out of there. It's kind of a tasty fill. Let's see. Next part. All right, going out of this was cool. Yeah. Bringing it back down low. It's a really nice kind of elongated transition so they could get into this kind of... All right, let's go into that part. That was tasty. Drums are just filthy here.
The beast has arisen, sins are forgiven. 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 In the belly of the beast shall be released. In the belly of the beast shall be released. In the belly of the beast shall be released.
I know this is a bass channel, but I feel like I'm talking about drummers a lot. I just like the way the drums are actually completely responsible for the phrasing of the song. The bass parts, I'm not going to say they're simple, but I like that they just kind of establish a main riff and the drums are kind of dictating it. But the bass is still the lead instrument here. And it almost has that three-piece, two-piece, if you will. I'm not fully clear on that personnel there, but they are making a lot of use of such simple elements. You know, coming with this really strong lead bass thing. I love that tone. It's very kind of just like riding the line of guitar and bass tone. I'm hearing that a lot lately, but they just kind of keep it simple and make it more complex with that drum phrasing. And it sounds like, I wouldn't say the time signatures are completely altered there. It's just really playing a lot with the upbeats and where they land and fall. I want to point out the fusion aspect of this. Now, fusion is sometimes used as a generic term to describe like jazz fusion. So if you hear, people say, oh, he's like a fusion player. Well, it's almost like prog and progressive. They almost kind of mean two separate things, the way like Coke has kind of generalized all soda pop. But this is an actual fusion to me of kind of adventurous, funky jazz with punk. And I've heard traces of that in some of the other bands I've done, but this is an actual just merger of the two. And I find that really interesting because it kind of takes that punk angst, kind of the ferocity, the way the instruments are just really in your face. Everything is kind of just boom, like high velocity. But it's got this kind of playful, whimsical aspect to it musically that's really infectious. So I wouldn't call this fusion in the way a lot of people do, but I actually hear a fusing of a lot of different sounds, which is really inventive. And I have never heard this band mentioned. I don't know if this was just like an album that a lot of time has passed. I don't know if the band is active. I read that they were active a bit later, but this is kind of ahead of its time in a way. Maybe so. I'm really liking just that the genre implications of what I'm hearing. So let's keep that going.
In the belly of the beast shall be released. She rises, Captain. She rises.
They're kind of flipping that riff around. That's fun to play.
To believe or not to believe.
Taking it down
I
low.
would choose not to. If I could choose to believe or not to believe, I would choose.
Even there, the drums are still just breaking that phrase up in interesting ways. I gotta give hats off to, I suppose that's his brother on drums, John. Rob, I think it's a guitar, bass, vocals. But guitar and bass are kind of just one, they're all in one here. And just, man, it's the riffs are simple, but it's the interplay between them that is becoming so complex as I hear it. I can't find the one in a lot of these riffs. And I don't think they're counting them out. I think they're just feeling the way they're displacing it. And the way that interacts with where the vocal phrases start and ends is kind of losing me in a cool way. It's just like one big thought. And there's nothing complex about what they're playing in terms of, it's not like technically fast or anything, but it's just the way they're kind of pasting them together is extremely creative to me. That's why I get those Edgar Winter Group vibes, because they would just take one riff and loop it and see how many derivatives they could do rhythmically. They could maybe change one or a couple notes. So that's just what I'm hearing, like Frankenstein, but just a lot cooler, and it's got like a punk edge to it. Very, very interesting.
Not to, not to,
This part's cool.
not to,
Yeah, when it opens up like this, it's just like it's right into like punk, straight up punk, just streamlined. But I like that the singularity of all the riffs kind of gets you in this holding pattern, like you're kind of waiting. You can't really bob your head because of that crazy stuff the drums are doing. This is almost the part I'm looking forward to when it opens up. It just goes wide. Very cool. Love the way they're just trailing off in those phrases in terms of the vocal melody. Rag and bones. Kind of just has this long, it really kind of complements that open feel. Actually, whereas the vocals over this riff were a little more just kind of rhythmic and broken up. So just great matching. It's kind of an A-B kind of song. Very neat. Okay. What a weird harmony. Oh, that bass just came in like a chainsaw. That tone sounds better the lower it gets. Almost has like kind of a Chris Squire thing, just crunchy, buzzy, but in the best way possible. Nothing jumped out at me if he was using a pick or fingers. With that tone, it could easily be both. But man, it has that chainsaw gnarliness down here. Let's play this one out. Cool. That was sick. So usually after I record these videos and I hit stop, I kind of sit here for about 30 seconds and just kind of let myself process and catch up. And I didn't think about this during the song, but it has a Minutemen, like a Mike Watt kind of thing, which I hadn't heard Mike Watt until I did a reaction to Minutemen and Firehose in a recent video. But the bass kind of strikes me the same way, where it's very lead-esque, but not in a flashy technical way. It's like the song was just completely written around the bass, the way the bass tone sits in the mix, the way it's EQ'd, maybe some effects on it, the drive. It's just got such a big, loud presence, not literally, but just in the manner in which it kind of permeates through the song. And I thought that same band, Minutemen, Mike Watt, was kind of inventive in those same ways. It was very kind of like jazz, funk, but not in the fusion kind of bebop way. You know, it just the way it kind of mixed with the punk ferocity and the punk attitude. That really reminded me of that. And then it again had that kind of frilly blues kind of Edgar Winter thing to me. What an interesting album to be out in the late 80s, I guess early 90s. And this is an album I kind of want to hear in the whole context of. Maybe we'll do this one since I'm doing full album reactions on Patreon. So head over there. I'm doing a lot of those. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate your patience. I look forward to doing more No Means No, because I just want to kind of hear the breadth of what those two brothers can do. And they can take such simple things and put them together in a way that just really was infectious, that never lost me. That riff repeated a lot, but as soon as you started tuning into that, the drums would come in and flip it around. So what just an inventive, imaginative use of just such simple instruments. Loved it. Thank you guys again. Love you all. Cheers, and we'll see you next time.